Approximately 40% of homicides remain unsolved in the United States. Think about that for a second. Does that statistic freak you out? It should. That's the reality. The world is a dangerous place. The good guys, despite their best efforts, don't always find the criminals. This stat, among other things, had been keeping me up at night. I'd become a zombie, draped in sweaty bedsheets, living off of Chinese takeout boxes. I was slowly being sucked into the black hole that is the internet. After my breakup with Vanessa, I had nothing left but time. I was falling into rabbit holes that I had never experienced before. The gleam of the laptop, my droopy, bloodshot eyes. I know that I wasn't healthy, but what I was finding was so alluring, so tantalizing, so captivating. I really had no conscious choice. I had to keep clicking and clicking. What I discovered was there are an alarming number of cold cases in America. The victims' stories left me unsettled, squirming in my bed. There was an abundance of resources to sift through. Articles, news, stories, videos, theories. Occasionally, new information would surface and pull you back in. There was mystery. There was murder. They all eventually lead you to a frustrating dead end. Every night, the faces of the families haunted me in my dreams. Empty, sad eyes searching for answers. I realized, like many others, that the police needed help. The community welcomed me with open arms. Anyone could sign up and view the forums. I chose to help, to speak up and fight for the forgotten. What we lacked in experience, we made up with determination. I became dedicated. I became a collaborator. I became a web sleuth. Our research helped police track down Monica Monroe's killer. 5 years of dead ends, put to bed by a group of internet nerds. It was a collaborative effort. One user blew up the logo of Kent Carlson's greasy hoodie. Another member recognized the distinct mountaintop logo and matched it with a small-town recluse in Southern Oregon. That was one example, among many, that our community was really proud of. Indirectly, our theories had led police to hundreds of other victories. They may not like to admit it, but our persistence kept these cases alive. It wasn't all Sherlock Holmes-level detective work. Some theories were way out of left field, but the most important part was someone was still searching. Law enforcement soaked up all the credit too. That was just how things worked. We were a nameless, faceless bunch, accepting of the lack of recognition. For the first time in my life, I felt like I was making a real difference. Eventually, the thirst for answers left me wanting more. A neon sign read Mulligan's Tap House, crookedly strung above the entrance. The G and N flickered off and on in sporadic spurts. It didn't feel like a friendly neighborhood pub. The dingy lights and 80s rock seemed to attract a certain rough-around-the-edges type. I walked past a couple of raggedy-looking patrons passed out at the bar. Stepping across the sticky tile floor, I settled into a back corner booth. I can't believe we're doing this. I ordered a pint from the waitress, my nose adjusting to the smell of cigarettes and malt whiskey. TJ, next time I pick the spot. Bits of leather were peeling off the side of the booth, Through my headphones, I could hear a nervous snicker in response. I knew him as a Gold Rush, a member of the community. A rusty bell dinged, welcoming in the first, Tyson Fawkes. His receding hairline and skinny neck looked exactly like the photos. He calmly glided into a booth in the opposite corner. My palms began to sweat. 5 minutes later, Alan Billows pulled up a stool at the edge of the bar. He pulled out a cigarette, sparked it up, and surveyed the room. He had a mountain of a chin and a barrel of a belly. A true farmer boy through and through, I thought. When the third walked in, Dean Gear, I went into a full-blown panic. He was a shifty-looking fellow with beady gray eyes. He sauntered over to a table right in front of my booth. Guys, we have a problem here," I gulped. "The Eagles have landed. All three." My hands were shaking as I took a sip of my beer. The adrenaline dump was overwhelming as I stared at our three targets. We were told to cast a wide net. Some people say yes, but for whatever reason, they get spooked and they don't show. People were flaky at the best of times, especially when dealing with strangers. It was surreal seeing them in person, people that I had virtually stalked and studied online. We had somehow reeled them in. The lure was successful. Too successful. "You've got to be kidding me," TJ said. "What do we do now?" To be honest, I had no clue. This was a logistical nightmare. It was so much easier hiding behind the comfort of your computer screen. It was safe. It was anonymous. What this was, this experience, it felt incredibly foreign to me. It was hard to explain. It was just so much more real in person. From my vantage point at the back of the bar, I maintained a clear view of all three. "How long can you keep them here?" I asked. 15, maybe 20 minutes tops," TJ said. "I can stall. I'm not worried about that. The problem will be getting them out again. People don't take too kindly to being stood up." I could hear TJ typing frantically on his phone. Before I could respond, Jess cut in with a shaky voice. "Guys, I'm feeling really nervous." I sighed as my hopes began to sink. I couldn't blame her. She was putting herself in a massive amount of danger, but she volunteered, as crazy as it was. So the plan was formulated around her. This whole operation would be a bust without her playing her part. "Just take a deep breath, Jess," I said slowly. "I'll be right there with you in the bar. At the moment you guys leave, TJ has your back in the parking lot." There was a long pause before she chimed in again. "I think we should call it off. I'm sorry. Let's try another night." I gripped my glass. "Think about the families, Jess. The Winslows, the Petrillos, the Jane Does, and countless others. These three men were not your average Joes looking to blow off steam at the bar. They were monsters who didn't deserve to see the light of day. No one has been able to prove it up to this point. But we had our theories and an opportunity to make some real headway tonight." "Okay," she sighed. "But I'm only one person, Eric." "She's right," TJ said. "We're messed up here. We need to focus on one." There was a long pause as I took another sip. Tyson seemed preoccupied with the boxing match on the TV. Alan was calmly watching a group of people play pool, and Dean was typing away on his phone. So, which one? I asked. Jess, maybe you decide. Dean was the sickest in my opinion, and the highest risk of danger. He had done time before. 10 years for a myriad of charges. Drugs, assault, other things that were horrible. It was a tame rap sheet considering police had linked him to multiple missing persons cases that spanned across several years. A beat-up navy blue hatchback had been spotted by witnesses frequenting popular call girl hotspots where the girls had been taken. The mother of one of the victims, Cecilia Petrillo, was active on the message boards pleading for help. No ID on the plate, unfortunately, but JT had confirmed he rolled up at Mulligan's in a similar vehicle. Alan didn't have the same track record as Dean that we could find, but that didn't mean he wasn't guilty. He was a leading member of a gang normally spewing venom all over his social media accounts. One of our members had doxed him to be in the same vicinity of 2 cold cases, both of African American descent, a couple years ago. The police had been tracking him for years for videos portraying motivated assaults. We could tell from his online footprint that he loved women nearly as much as sharing his worldviews. Tyson was the father of Ashley Winslow, a missing persons case that spanned over a decade. She vanished one night when she was scheduled for a sleepover with her friend. Her mom had crumbled under the tragedy, but the father had always seemed so unaffected. They divorced a year after the disappearance. On social media, he seemed to be going through a midlife crisis of sorts. The hope was that, with a combination of liquor and female attention, some rapport could be established. Maybe not tonight, maybe not this month, but eventually they would open up. Sex, or the possibility of it, was a powerful tool to have. We figured secrets that sinister and heavy can wear a man into the dirt. Jess had had theater experience and amateur improv. It was an interrogation experience, but it was some valuable skills to have. It also helped that she was a young and attractive woman. With those skills and some disguises, we were confident she could slowly extract information. We would have a recording and hopefully it would be enough to lead to an arrest. A few minutes went by in silence. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Alan get up from his stool. "Crap," I stammered. Guys, Alan is leaving. I repeat, he's walking out." I watched his big body trudge out the door, the ding of the dusty bell as it slammed shut. "Jess," I said. No response as I continued to keep my eye out on the other two. "Hello?" Still nothing. Just a ding of the bell as a group of rowdy construction workers had pushed through the entrance. "Guys, did I lose you?" "Eric, we have a problem," TJ said. "I think Jess bailed." "God dang it." I paid my tab and I stormed out, walking past the two monsters left to roam free. As time passed, I realized the naivety of my expectations. Our plans in that thread were outlandishly ambitious. We were asking a lot, too much from a single person. But to say that I wasn't disappointed at the outcome, it would be a lie. I longed for another shot, another opportunity at those scumbags. I eventually gave up, as our thread began to get buried by other posts. I wasn't receiving responses to my messages, so I took the hint. But I had continued my web sleuthing ways, scouring the internet. I was back in my rhythm again, back on the hunt. One late night, I stumbled across a post that was trending rapidly atop the forums. "Help, find one of our own. Search for truth 42 missing." The link was a photo of Jess Harborough. Her family's face is blurred in the shot. She was posing amongst a pile of leaves in a fall photo shoot. 25 years old, missing. My hands trembled as I scrolled through the member list, hovering my mouse over her user profile. Offline 15 days. A million thoughts collided through my mind as I frantically put these search engines to work. This search effort felt different this time. She was one of our own.